There's a kind of fear we rarely talk about. Not the kind that makes you scream, but the kind that makes you silent. The kind that quietly strangles your dreams before they even take shape. I know that fear. Dale Carnegie knew it too. As a child, he wasn't afraid of monsters under the bed. He was afraid of being called on in class. His hands would sweat, his heart would pound, and despite studying all night, he'd sit in silence, paralyzed by the thought of speaking in front of others. That small fear, it followed him through school, into work, into every room where words mattered. And like many of us, he tried to ignore it, to hope it would disappear as he grew older. But it didn't. Because fear, especially the one rooted deep inside us, doesn't just go away. It grows stronger in silence. Until one day, you're no longer living your life. You're just surviving your fear. Dale Carnegie carried that fear into adulthood. After college, he tried everything, selling bacon, soap, and lard. Nothing stuck. He felt like a failure, not just in business, but in life. At one point, broke and broken, he rented a cheap room on the top floor of a YMCA in New York City. It was the kind of room you stay in, not because you're chasing dreams, but because you've run out of them. That's when the darkness got loud. He began to ask himself dangerous questions, questions many of us silently carry. What's the point? Am I always going to feel like this? Would anyone even notice if I disappeared? It's a terrifying place to be, not because the world is cruel, but because your inner world has turned against you. But here's what makes Dale's story different. He didn't stay there. He didn't numb the pain or distract himself with noise. Instead, he did something rare. He listened. And in the silence, he realized something powerful. The fear wasn't there to stop me. It was there to teach me where I needed to grow. So he made a decision, not a big dramatic one, just a quiet promise to himself. I'm going to face what scares me. He started small. He would walk into an empty storage room, close the door, and pretend he was delivering a speech to an audience that didn't exist. No one clapped, no one judged, no one laughed. But every day, he stood a little taller, spoke a little clearer. Then came the next step. He joined public speaking classes, entered local debates, and even volunteered to teach others how to express themselves. Slowly, the fear that had once ruled him began to lose its grip. Not because it disappeared, but because he learned how to walk with it. He realized that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build brick by brick in the quiet moments when you choose to keep going despite the fear. The man who once trembled at the thought of speaking became one of the most influential voices of his generation. Dale Carnegie didn't just learn how to speak, he learned how to make people feel heard. He built a movement, not around perfection, but around progress, around the idea that you don't have to be fearless to move forward. His teachings reached millions. His book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, became a timeless classic, not because it taught people how to manipulate, but because it taught them how to connect. And connection is what fear tries to steal from us. Fear isolates. It tells you that you're alone, that you're the only one who feels this way. But the moment you speak, the moment you step forward, you realize something incredible. Everyone's afraid. And it's not the absence of fear that creates power. It's the choice to act anyway. The fear you feel is real, but so is your strength. You don't conquer fear by pretending it doesn't exist. You conquer it by walking toward it. One step, one choice, one shaky breath at a time. Dale Carnegie didn't start out brave. He became brave by showing up. And maybe that's all you need to do today. Show up. Speak, even if your voice trembles. Stand, even if your knees shake. Try, even if you think you'll fail. Because courage isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the whisper that says, try again tomorrow. So if this message found you at the right moment, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's fighting their own silent war. And if this story reminded you of a chose to be brave, leave your story in the comments below. Someone out there needs your voice, just as much as you once needed theirs. Subscribe for more stories that speak to the part of you that's still becoming.